Okay, so we're back over to our browser, but we've done absolutely nothing yet on the code side of this. I've blanked all of the files that I've used in the example, and I'm going to take you now through the directory structure of this application. Now, the first thing to note is that there's a lot of files contained within this, but these should all really be part of your main site. So for example, we've got JavaScript files, CSS files, so you'll have styles relating to your site, and perhaps JavaScript files as well. So although this looks overwhelming, really the only files that we're adding here is the chat file here, the two classes, the core, which you may have something different set up on your site already. This is mainly to deal with database connection, the chat class, and then the init.php, which will bring all this together. And there's a few other things that we're doing as well in here that are just a bit fiddly because of the way that the user system's not set up, but we'll see this a bit later on. So let's take a look at the files that we're using. Well, we're obviously using a landing page. This is going to be where we actually see this chat application working. We then have our JavaScript and CSS files. So the JavaScript file, I've given its own name, so chat.js. That's basically just going to be the JavaScript. We're going to include jQuery on the index page. We'll include this JavaScript file. We'll write the JavaScript there that relates directly to our application. We also have our styles.css file, which we're going to use to style some of the elements on the page, font sizes, the size of the text area, things like that. Now, slightly more difficult, we've got core and then init.php. Now, this is going to include the classes that we can instantiate and then instantiate as objects and start to use the methods within these. And then we have the two classes, which are chat and core. So let's go ahead and open these. Both empty at the moment, but this is going to be a class called core and a class called chat. And they're just going to do things like fetch the chat, connect to the database and stuff like that. So we're using object-oriented programming here. So in Ajax, we've got this chat.php file. Now what this is going to do is the JavaScript is going to send the messages or the request to this JavaScript file, this PHP file, and that's going to either pull back database data or insert data. So this is sort of like the bridge between JavaScript and PHP in the back end. And this will obviously instantiate our chat class, connect to our database, and do various bits and bobs. So to start with, we're going to look at the index.php file. We're going to look at forging the session, and we're also going to look at the markup and the styles for this. So if you've got your own styles and markup, feel free to skip the next video. But in the case that you want to look at the styles, look at the markup, and see how everything might be tied together, it's a good idea to. So that will be in the next video.